Hey man, what you got to tell these people?
Back. Back, Jack.
You feel me?
You did.
Hey man, ain't no cap in it.
No cap in my rap.
You feel what I'm saying?
The right way.
It's time.
The right way, bro.
You feel what I'm saying?
Right way.
Yeah, that way.
Yeah.
And go tell that.
Don't you ever in your life bet against slime. We at a higher level, baby. Higher levels.
Young Thug has finally came out and spoke on Instagram Live about his release from jail, but he also shared some disturbing facts about the YSL RICO trial as he was robbed for hundreds of thousands of dollars. A report would be shared. Rapper Young Thug had millions in assets in his home when he was arrested, and now the state wants to seize it. The only problem is that he earned it with his very successful music career, as when Young Thug was originally arrested, his entire YSL mansion was raided by the feds, and they were able to scoop up any very expensive items that they may have found. Well, they ended up finding a Richard Mille. This is a Richard Mille RM Bubba Watson and has an estimated price tag of $304,000, but the actual price to obtain the watch is nearly $1 million. So when Young Thug was released from jail, he would end up asking for all of his items back, but the state is refusing. Now, Young Thug found it funny. After reports went viral, he would then hop on Instagram Live to go and laugh.
I'm on live. I just jumped on here to let you ladies know that yes, a goat can go live. Whoa! What's up? Who up right now? What's up? Who up right now?
However, shortly after, Young Thug would then make it officially known that he is home and back to work. He would be hanging out with a role model of his named T.I. He would announce that he's home, he's ready to go, and be ready for new music.
Hey man, what you got to tell these people?
Back. Back, Jack.
You feel me?
You did.
Hey man, ain't no cap in it.
No cap in my rap.
You feel what I'm saying?
The right way.
It's time.
The right way, bro.
You feel what I'm saying?
Right way.
Yeah, that way.
Yeah.
And go tell that.
However, things got very concerning from here. Shortly after the video clip with T.I. went viral, Young Thug would end up tweeting that he wants an answer from Gunna for taking his plea deal early in the YSL trial and not doing it the right way. As Young Thug tweeted, "Wham, let's drop one on these rats, Peter," with the name Wham referring to rapper Lil Baby, as Lil Baby's been firm on dissing Gunna for snitching on Young Thug and in the YSL trial. As Lil Baby responded to Young Thug on Instagram saying, "We should." This would, however, get the attention of DJ Academics, as Young Thug is already affecting his probation pretty early on his release. It was reported Academics speaks on Young Thug getting released and says the stipulations that he has got are a setup for the court to try to put Young Thug back into jail, explaining that it's all a setup for Thug to eventually fail and then go to prison for 20 years.
I know some of his fans think he beat the case. He definitely didn't beat the case. Beat the case means you got no stipulations. The Young Thug thing is a win, but it's also a huge setup. If you gonna tell me that they gonna monitor him on a probationary basis for 15 years, can't be in Atlanta, can't communicate with co-defendants or gang members, he can't rap about, he can't promote any music that has to do with what they believe is gang activity. Well, he's always gonna talk about him and his doing his thing. They might consider that gang activity. He might be like, yo, it's like, yo, we going to the park getting lit. We going to the club getting lit. They might be like, oh no, you talking about the gang. So, we celebrating right now because I think we could all see, if you follow that trial at all, whether you're a fan of Thug or not, you can see the pain, you can see was going through it. Like, he gained a lot of weight. Everybody knows Thug was not that weight. So we happy he got out, but we definitely got to be very cognizant of how it's going to play out.
As Young Thug being able to be released and go home is good and bad. Yes, Young Thug beat the case essentially of the YSL trial, which is great news. However, if he messes up his probation, he will actually be going to prison for a longer time than what he actually would have served if he didn't have the plea deal. This will, however, get the attention of the famous rap lawyer, who would explain that it is an amazing deal for Thug if he stays out of trouble.
Young Thug absolutely won that plea deal for so many reasons. One, the prosecution got none of what they wanted when you think about what the charges were and what actually got pled to. And two, he saved himself some major civil liability. Let me break that down. So first off, the prosecution had charged this man with 8 counts. 2 of them were very serious. 2 of them were basically saying that for years you were the leader of a criminal gang that committed murders and all types of acts all over the city of Atlanta. Those two charges Young Thug did not plead guilty to. Had he pled guilty to those, he would have gotten serious time, and all the victims of all of this alleged criminal street gang activity, including the families of victims, could have sued him civilly in court and said, hey, this man pled guilty to doing it. Now he's got to pay me. He pled nolo contendere. The judge accepted that plea. The prosecution said, Judge, you should not allow a nolo contendere plea on those two counts. The judge said, I am going to allow it.
But Young Thug would later describe the real reason that he was even released from jail, which was the emotional speech that he gave inside of the courtroom that made the judge cry. As Young Thug would begin describing to the judge and jury the type of man that he is, and that he's truly sorry for all the mistakes that he's ever made.
Anything that you want to say?
Yes, ma'am. I take full responsibility for, my crimes or my charges. I want to say sorry to my family, my mom. My mom got 11 kids. I can't say all their names, My managers, my kids that's not here. Really everybody that got something to do with this situation, I want to say sorry for just having so much time invested into this, and I am a smart guy, I am a good guy, and I really got a good heart, I find myself in a lot of stuff because I was just nice or cool, and I understand that you can't be that way when you reach a certain height because it could end bad.
As Young Thug would continue on further with his speech, making the judge starting to get teary-eyed, accepting his wrongs, and promising to be a better person.
I hope that you allow me to go home today and just trust in me to just do the right thing and never see you again unless it's at a bar in the future or something. Just out of this type of situation, I promise you I won't ever be in this type of situation again. I'm going away. I've learned from my mistakes, I come from nothing and I've made something and I didn't take full advantage of it. I'm sorry. Through these last 2.5 years of my life, you are really, truly, honestly, the best thing that has happened to me because you made everything fair for me and everybody involved on both sides, I'm sorry to the sheriff, everybody for just having to put extra time in. I know y'all got paid more money, but I'm sorry for y'all having to put this extra time in to be away from y'all family, and I just hope that.
He would then end off his speech, which is likely what won him the plea deal, by revealing what he has done for the community in Atlanta by performing free concerts a few times a year, making millions of dollars off of them, and then donating all of the profits to underdeveloped communities, schools, and families that are in need of extra money, proving to the jury and judge Thug is actually a very good person, and the prosecutors were making him come out as a bad guy.
You find it in your heart to allow me to go home and be with my family and just do better as a person. I know what I bring to the table. I know what I am. I know the heights I've reached. I know the impact I got on people, period, in the community. All people. I learned that late, these past 2 or 3 years of my life, I kind of learned that late, and maybe it was because I was, probably on or anything, I don't know, but I have came to my senses and I understand what I mean to this world, but I am a good guy, I don't mind doing stuff like free shows, and I always did that. I did free shows and gave it to single parents, millions of dollars. I made $1.8 million on a free show, and I gave it all to single parent charity, and I did.
However, the moments after, which led to Young Thug's release from jail, made some rappers believe that he took a plea deal that seems a little fishy and maybe even a little bit of a snitch, as it started out with the moments of Thug walking to the stand to accept the deal.
Mr. Steele, Mr. Adams, Mr. Williams, where are we? Ready to go forward? All right. Y'all coming up here to the podium. All right, Sergeant, can you swear in Mr. Williams?
Raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony you give today the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's your name, first and last. You might tell first and last. Jeffrey Williams,
Jeffrey Williams, JEFFERY WILLIAMS.
As with Young Thug accepting his fate and allowing to have a plea deal determine his future, it was then announced the state is recommending Young Thug is sentenced to 45 years with 25 to serve.
And Mr. Williams, were you aware of the state's previous offer that was turned down prior to your making this non-negotiated plea?
Yes.
All right. And Your Honor, at this time, the state is making a recommendation of 45 years with 25 to serve in custody, followed by 20 on probation, subject to the special requirements of 1615 the gang statute.
The state's first offer was absolutely ridiculous, and obviously Brian Steele wouldn't let Young Thug take it. Sure, he would have been home today, but he also would have had to snitch against the remaining YSL members in the case, which is also what led to many rappers and some fans online that he snitched, but he actually didn't, and let me explain. The report reads, he could have come home today if he accepted the previous offer, but he did not agree to the special conditions, confirming that he was not gonna snitch like Gunna did.
Would have been released today for 15 years on probation. If he successfully completes that probation, then he would not have to go to custody. If he did not, he'd face probation revocation as well as 23 years, as a court said, backloaded in the Georgia prison system. But we could not come to terms on all the conditions that the district attorney was insisting upon.
Okay.
However, Young Thug and his lawyers would then want to roll the dice on Thug's future, not accepting the initial plea deal that was offered, and he would end up accepting what's known as a NOLO, as Brian Steele would then go to the stand and tell the courtroom what Thug is willing to accept. As it reports, Young Thug pleads no contest to the RICO count and gang leader count. The rest, he pleads guilty.
One, which is the racketeering conspiracy count. Mr. Williams is tendering a plea under nolo contendere as to count 56, which is participation in a criminal street gang activity as being a leader or a supervisor or organizer. Mr. Williams is also tendering a plea to this honorable court as under nolo contendere. The balance of the counts, so he is tendering a guilty plea.
Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
would the court like to hear from the state or not?
About the NOLO issues?
Yes.
Sure.
Your Honor, the state asked that the court not accept a NOLO plea and require either a guilty plea or a not guilty plea as to these charges.
All right. I'm going to permit a NOLO plea as to counts 1 and 56.
All right.
However, this is where the entire courtroom got extremely emotional. Young Thug was even seen wiping tears from his eye because his lawyer would end up announcing that he needs to take a plea deal today. The trial wasn't even supposed to end, but sadly it was announced. Young Thug's lawyer said Thug insisted on this because he could not handle 3 more months of knowing his kids were very upset, and if there was any chance that he couldn't come home today, he wants to do it. His lawyer told him they were winning the trial, but he was okay with either decision.
For almost 2 years since we did our jury selection initiation on January 4th, 2023, Mr. Williams has been sitting in a jail since May 9th, 2022. This is 2.5 years waiting for the conclusion of the state's case and a verdict from the jury, and that's why he is tendering this plea. I'm telling the court this, and the court knows when you came out the first time, it's very hard for Mr. Williams. I am not supportive of what we're doing right now. I'm not against it. But I told Mr. Williams, you okay with me saying yes? I told Mr. Williams that I think we're winning the trial and we should go to verdict. But he told me I can't wait another 3 months if there is any possibility I could go home because I have children that are hurting.
The judge knew that Young Thug was extremely emotional here, as this was all revolving around Young Thug's family and children. He wanted nothing more but to see them. He didn't care if it costed him millions of dollars or what. He just wanted to go home. This is when the judge finally had her verdict on Young Thug's future.
So essentially, the total sentence is 40 years to serve the first 5 years in prison, but commuted to the time that you have already served, followed by 15 years on probation. followed then by the backloaded 20 years, which can be served in custody and will be served in custody if you are not successful on your probation. If you are successful in completing your 15 years probation, that will be commuted to time served.
As Young Thug would end up mentioning, this was the best moment of his life, being told by the judge that he's allowed to go home, and he beat the trial pretty much, which then led into his lawyers doing a post-game interview sharing disturbing details of Young Thug's life inside of jail.
As far as how Jeffrey's feeling now, he knows my feelings, which I'm not going to reveal for attorney-client privilege, but this is not the same as a not guilty verdict. That should have been rang. But nobody here wakes up every day on a concrete floor that they're calling his bed, gets up at 4:15, gets shackled at his feet, his waist, and his hands, comes to the Fulton County Courthouse to be on concrete, eating out of a bag. Doritos is his meal of choice. And then coming to a courtroom and sit there with a leg chain on him every single day and hear lie after lie. So for Jeffrey go home today and not have another 90 days or 120 days of it, he is very happy.